Ah, yeah. That. The sound of a Monday evening. Hey everybody, Ken Knapsack here in the Blathering Monday edition of the show. Hi, welcome to the Blathering Live. I'm Ken Knapsack. You might remember me from times I read the snarky movie news or acted like I didn't care about movies on movie shows because I don't. I'm happy to be hanging out with you here on this show, though. This is like a radio show. Remember those? They're dead. But now there's a new way to move forward with a proven medium. Building community. One microphone at a time. Live, indeed. We got our regulars checking on in here today, and we got hopefully some new folks swinging through here. If you're new to the channel or just catching back up with some of the stuff we've been doing, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you're watching now, hit that like button. I've always approached that cynically, with a little bit of an eye roll. Hit the like button. It needs to happen. It needs to happen. I am pouring a drink tonight. It's a drink night, but I've mixed badly. JMB's 9 a.m. It's 9 a.m. Tuesday. Oh, that's right. Your week has begun over there in Japan. Tap the button. Ding, 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 ding. Sean Sully's here. Yo, I don't care about movies either. That's why I love you, Sean. Robert Edwards here, waving. James checking in late on the UK. Mike Fink here. Remind us, tap the button. King Sporkhouses deserve the like, Ken. I deserve the like. To answer or address your earlier comment, King Sport Cow, maybe not, but I am more respected. So I am happy to have you all here, and I think we're going to get to 16 seconds of sports. I see producer Steve in chat. I forgot. One of those days where I'm not crashing into the live stream. I made the mistake of I was editing some Force Center stuff with some great recording sessions today. Loading those up for tomorrow and Thursday, and then I looked at the clock and I went, oh, I need to get that one item at the store. Let me hop in the car and head over there, and I'll be back in time to prep for the live stream tonight. I wasn't. And it's not just LA traffic. It's just, I got to the store, and I was like, well, I do need some of those burritos that I like at Sprouts. I mean, next, I'm late. Dave McKay says, big week in sports with the return of the Six Nations this coming weekend. I'm going to nod as a dumb American who understands what David's saying. We do have some NFL maybe to discuss. The big game is set, and I was wrong. We'll have the reckoning maybe a little bit later on in the week, or maybe tonight. Ooh, boy, let me tell you something. I went a dramatic 0-2, but I still believed that I was right in my heart. I still believe. I just forgot. And I'm not the NFL refs are making it impossible for Kansas City to lose. I just think they're protecting some brand interest, and that's fair. That's fair. Also, we are going to be taking your calls. If you want to become a caller, you become a YouTube channel member, and you can support on patreon.com/Ken Knapsack. I am going to be some point this week dropping 25 minutes of comedy. I got my set of everything from Flappers a couple weeks ago. I have the first set up there, the Hot Burbank Nights. That is about a 45-minute show. These are all raw tapes, so it's not like a special shot. Neat. Like I didn't hire Christian Rubicaba and Cody Hall and Thad Williams. These are just sets recorded from Flappers Raw Camera. So that's going to be thrown your direction if you're a Patreon supporter, patreon.com/Ken Knapsack. Let's see, what's the rundown tonight? Yeah, it's just kind of an open forum tonight. So if you want to call in, you can call in. I do want to get to some news. I talked about likes. I'm going to explain my drink tonight in this Team Zoc mug. Okay, that actually ended up okay. All right, so here's what happened. I was at this store run, and I got some Zevia, some cherry cola Zevia, and I thought, oh, I'm going to mix that with some rum. Then I got home and I realized I didn't have the rum that I thought I had. We're out of rum. The only thing I had left is this Captain Morgan's sliced apple rum, which mixes well for cider. I don't know so much about cherry cola, but I got to tack it. I'm important that it's passable. I love weird alcohol mixes. I've been thinking of do I become a bartender? Should I just become a bartender? But I realized I don't want to do the heavy lifting, figurative and literal, of being a bartender. I just want to be a hotel lobby bar keep at like Tuesday at 11 a.m. Those are my favorite bartenders. Yes, Lauren Romo says, yeah, Zevia. It is the return of Zevia. I haven't had Zevia for a while, but this absolutely works. Looking at the news headlines, as always, part of what's going on right now is we're all just trying to find the best way forward under complicated and dark clouds, and that's kind of where we're at, and that's kind of the vibe. It's amazing that anyone I talk to has that kind of not even deer in the headlights look, but we all have that feeling of the alarm went off and we weren't ready to wake up, and we're all trying to comprehend what's actually happening. And when you look at the news, I always talk about the headline roulette and anything that jumps out. The thing that really kind of jumps out to me now is what's going on with Colombia, which is, as always, going to be a little more complicated and a little more layered than we will discuss on a live stream where I'm sitting here on a Monday afternoon, having not read all the stories. But it is it's interesting to see. In short, we deport some folks, some fine folks, I'll say, but Trump has other words for them, on a military plane, shackled. Colombia says, "Nuh-uh, we're not accepting them. Treat them with decency. Send them on a presidential plane or send them in a commercial liner. Just don't shackle them." Trump comes back with a bunch of dumb words, Truth Social, and then a 25% tariff threat, and then to a 50% tariff threat, and a whole bunch of threats. The Colombian president gives a epic medieval response back that I was just rooting for the guy as if he was going to take on Sauron, let alone the president of the country I live in. And then they late last night it breaks that they all I'll say work it out. And I was, again, I'm not in the weeds on that story right now. This isn't about that, but this is emblematic of what's going on during these times right now. Trump and his team are spreading this. We won. Our threats worked, and the little country backed down. Where Colombia's like, no, we just asked you to maybe treat them better. Colombia, by the way, between 2020 and 2024, accepted over 400 deportation flights. Just the conditions were a little better, or they've decided enough's enough, especially with what's going on. This is not going to be, we're not going to accept your political message. We're not going to accept people shackled for hours in a flight down to us. The sides, quote, worked it out. But that's being spun into, see, violence, retribution, vengeance, saith the Lord. That's what worked. And again, it's always a little more complicated. But that is emblematic of what is happening where so many people have they just think they've won right now. This is a zero-sum game and they've won. And they're allowed to be finally who they're supposed to be. Maddie Gunner was sharing a story of one of his, I want to say favorite entertainers, but a singer of a band who's now come out and said, see, now I can, we can finally say we've had to play so nice. You're seeing a lot of companies do that. First week in the administration, memos going out. Erase all DEI. They're done. We're done with it. We don't have to do it anymore. The winds have gone that way. And it's not even though that they believed in the stuff before, or they believe in what they're doing now or what they're erasing now. It's just they feel as though the winds have changed. There's so many dumb hack comics coming out of the woods saying, finally we can go on stage and say anything. So people they feel that they've won. Those people in the MAGA hats or the MAGA vests, the people who fly the bars and stars and bars and bars and stars, those kind of folks who are just waiting for you to say something. They feel as though they've won. That's one of the biggest things that's run through my head this week. There's a lot of people out there who just otherwise who've been maybe cowardly over the last couple of years. They feel as though they had to cower, and now they don't feel they have to anymore. And that's one of the dangers of the Trump administration winning and getting to do what they want. So why all the all the issues are always going to be a little complicated. I will be one that gives room on that kind of conversation point of, I don't fully understand everything going on with the Columbia situation. I try to read as much stories as I can. As I keep saying to y'all, I use ground news so I can at least see some of the other headlines out there. And it was interesting to see the headlines. Some of them just straight up saying Columbia won this arm wrestling match. In other words, saying Trump claiming a victory. And those ones, the ones that claim Trump, this is a victory for Trump, were denoted with mixed factually. So there you go. But the end result is there's folks that believe they won, and now they get to say what they want. Yeah, I saw this story. Mike Fink's bringing this up. In case you missed it yesterday, pardoned January 6th rider shot dead while resisting arrest during traffic stop in Indiana. He probably felt he won, right? Probably felt he won, and I'd be willing to look in this incident, right, to see, was it the right thing? Was this a use of force that was necessary? That's all I've been asking for a long time. What's the true story there? But maybe he just thought that he won. Yeah, Vermont Mike saying some good things about the Columbia thing. Columbia caved, it appears. This might have been a secure flight, which may have been required the precaution. This is only guess based on the recent target rates. Yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely. But in the end result, Vermont Mike says tariffs would cost us and the importers, not so much the other country. Yeah, we would lose. We would lose. So anyways, but regardless of the issues, that's kind of where I'm at this week. Look for the people in your life that feel as though they've won, and maybe challenge on that, push back on that. I do believe there's this idea, and I saw it around a post around some comic. I don't even know who the comic was. It wasn't a big name. And I'm not, like I always said, I'm a utility player when it comes to comedy. I'm not a superstar. I'm not a Hall of Fame left fielder. I'm a utility player. I'll get you a couple good at-bats and record some outs. But I saw some comics kind of this, deep breath. We can finally, say what we want on stage. And I got to tell, I know a lot of people that laugh privately at jokes, and now we get to say those jokes on stage. They're trying to reestablish that as the norm. They're trying to move back where comedy always moves forward. Society always moves forward. It's good that a society has things that even just 3-4 years ago we don't say anymore, or we reconsider how we say them and how we use them. But they're trying to reestablish that as normal. But that's just thoughts from a man sitting in his studio drinking Zevia, cherry cola Zevia, and sliced apple rum. It smells like a party, but it's not quite. I don't know what you think about that. All right. You ready for some calls? I think I'm ready for a call. We're going to have our first call. Usually this caller is one of the last people to call him. Even when he's first in line, I sometimes make him go last. But we're going to bring this show right now. Kingsport Cal. Cal, how are you doing, my friend? You're on the show. You're authenticated by YouTube. I just seen your profile there. So Cal, hit me, buddy. What do you want to say? You're muted, Cal. You're muted. You're still there. You go. Yeah. Okay. There you are, buddy. How are you?
You doing?
I'm okay, man. I'm working. I'm living. You?
Where are you at, Ken? Where are you at?
Where am I at? I'm a little overwhelmed by my immediate future, but I am hopeful of my distant future. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense, Ken. I'll tell you. I've told you before. I'm proud of you getting out there and doing what you got to do.
Doing what I got to do.
It's pretty bold, man. It's pretty bold to. Well, I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know. It seems like a risk, not a risk, but
a risk.
Well, you told us. You didn't tell everybody else, but you told us what was going on.
Yeah. We don't need to get into all that, but
exactly. See, I never know what to say. I never know what to ask you, Ken, because I don't know what you want to talk about.
Cal, this is a radio show. First of all, shout out to Steve Turner, the one guy watching on Facebook. Steve, I appreciate you watching on Facebook. I'm glad you're there watching on Facebook. That means a lot. Hi, Steve. So, Cal, this is a radio show. You call in with a question. You be bold. This isn't a hangout chit-chat show. This is, hi, caller, you're on the air. What you thinking? And I'll answer your question.
Well,
Well,
Anyway, well, I
okay.
want to
No,
tell. I want to. No, no, no. I got a question for you. I do have a question for you, but
okay.
I do want to tell Addie to make some bread. Try some different recipes with bread. She says she's feeling down. She's been feeling down, and I know she
Yeah.
experiments with bread, so she should try something else. Anyway, my question for you, Ken, since
Yeah.
you are a man on the road these days,
Okay.
I have a question for you. Um, these lights, these new lights, new headlights on cars.
Oh, headlights on cars. Are you talking about the LED lights?
The super bright ass lights
Yes.
that almost blind me when they pass me and almost cause me to wreck. That's what I'm
Do
talking.
do we? Here's what Much like, do we have a doctor on this flight? Do we have anyone in our live stream audience, or anyone listening later via podcast or on YouTube, that can answer this? That works in some sort of light law making office. I don't know, Cal, how these are legal. How are
Well,
these legal?
I don't know, but let me tell you, Ken. Remember back in the day when you'd be riding down the road? I ride around a lot of two-lane roads, as you know, of
It's
this area.
Kingsport, Johnson City, Bristol, a lot of 2-lane highways. Yes.
Thank you very much. And so when you was riding down two-lane road, you had your brights on at
Mm-hmm.
night. You could see another car coming up on you. So you
Right.
turn your bright
Turn it
lights
off.
off so you don't distract the driver. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because the
Mm-hmm.
lights
Mm-hmm.
are bright. That's the reason why they're on bright.
And that'd be
Okay.
probably illegal. You'd probably be liable for an accident.
For brightening somebody, if an accident occurred, you would be liable for that because that other person who got an accident, well, they had the brights on and it distracted me, and I didn't see that happen. Anyway,
Yep.
so
Yep.
now these cars are installed with lights that are LED lights,
Okay.
whatever
Oh,
light,
okay,
super
Cal.
bright.
Yeah, Cal, this is great. So we have a couple people checking in here: Vermont Mike and Neil Hanstock, who's also watching on Facebook. Steve, you know them. Do we mean LEDs or what? Xenon
I don't even
lights?
I
I
don't even
don't.
know what that is.
You all tell us. I say LED because it's the only thing I can use to describe them. But I'd like to know, because both seem suspect to me, Cal.
They are, and let me tell you, Ken, it's gotten to this is how bad it's gotten. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
got for me driving at night. I can't do it. I already hated driving at night before these lights started becoming a normal thing. Okay, I already
Right.
hated it because
Yes.
of light.
Night
Because of
is
light.
night is tough.
Now,
Yes.
now it's gotten so bad, Ken. It's gotten
Okay.
so bad that I literally, like the
Mm-hmm.
song, like
Like the
the
song.
song.
Okay.
I wear my sunglasses at night. I wear my sunglasses, Ken, when I'm driving at night because the lights are
I,
so bright.
I'm going to be honest, Cal. I always assumed you wore your sunglasses inside, outside, and at night.
No, I don't wear sunglasses. I'm not talking about the granny sunglasses that people wear when they're driving during the day.
Well, you
I'll throw my regular sunshades on at night because
wait a minute. Wait a
it
minute,
helps
Cal.
me see.
Cal, hold on. I think you're doing something smart and safe. Are you describing blue blockers? Cal, you're younger than me. Are you wearing blue blockers?
I don't have blue. I don't even know what that is, Ken. I'm like what 6 years younger than you. I don't know what that is. But
Blue
what
blockers.
if you're talking about the big, huge sunglasses that grannies wear?
Well,
No,
they were marketed to elderly people, which
I know, but that's for during the day. We're talking about a whole new racket, Ken. We're talking about a whole new avenue. This is at
okay,
night.
okay.
This is at night. I
Cal,
need night vision glasses.
you're screaming at me like
I know because
like I'm the problem. Like I'm driving around in these xenon lights, which Addie and Vermont Mike have clarified is how we just say them. Xenon, which sounds like an alien that Tom Cruise prays to. So I
yeah.
do think, look, Cal, I'm with you. There's no fight for me. The fact that you have to wear your blue blockers at night is a tragedy.
I don't wear blue blockers,
It's a
Ken, and
tragedy.
I'm only. It only seems like I'm yelling to you because this is the way I talk. And also, if it seems like that's because I'm passionate. I'm passionate about this because
I'm not complaining about the way you talk, Cal. If I did, there's a word for that you'd probably use against me. I'm with you here. That's my point, Cal. I am a man of the people, and I'm with you. I want these lights outlawed. Who do we talk to across the country?
I
This has
don't
got to be
know. I don't know how to make it, but we need to find a way to where America can see what's not going to happen and now because they get come to the aisle anything, but to see that this is a danger. I know people who have taken out the factory lights of their vehicle and put in these xenon LED light. You know what I mean?
if
Because they're
that
like,
is
oh,
your real name.
no, no, no. Yeah, they're like, I use it when I go hunting and shit like that.
Well,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? They use it
Okay.
and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, I feel more safe." Yeah, you should feel more safe because you're endangering yourself by blinding the people that are coming towards you. You
Yeah.
see what I'm
Okay.
saying?
I see.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
I do see what you're saying. I think this is an excellent. I think you've raised an important issue that's not been addressed for years. Because I remember this is about 10, 15 years ago that you started seeing these brighter lights. I use LED. That's probably not correct. Xenon. If that's is that just a brand name? Vermont Mike, is that a brand name? I want to know. I should look this up. Should we look this up, Cal? We should probably look this up.
Look it up if you feel so.
Xenon lights.
I'm afraid
Uh,
it messed up my internet.
I don't want to. I don't want you to mess up your incandescent light bulb filled with xenon gas. So it's a gas.
Okay, okay.
Wow. Yeah. I don't. Okay. Do those are those safe in an accident?
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. I'd imagine not. Does it? Gas doesn't sound safe to me. Does it to you, Ken?
No, it does not. It does not. Gas never sounds good except for when it is.
Head on, well, yeah, head on collision
Okay.
with
Yeah.
that. You know what
Okay.
I mean? Anyway, I don't know what happened. I don't know where it became acceptable for these lights. I know I'm not talking about food, Ken. I'm talking about something else that
Okay.
we
I love
see
this.
in our day-to-day life. Just like I tried to ask you about a leaf blower, but you have a personal gardener. Well, your
I don't have the
landlord pays for it. I
gardener.
know your landlord pays for it.
I don't have.
But
Yeah. Thank you. Don't make me an elite when I'm not an elite.
all
Mm,
right. Well, anyway,
okay.
so I was, I don't, I'm talking about everyday stuff, man. This is one thing, and I thought about it. It was so funny to me
Okay.
because I got home, and you have your Monday thing that you do, and you was talking about
Yeah.
it raining and stuff. And
Yeah.
I turned my brights on when it was raining, and and I turned them off for some ass who was
Uh huh.
coming in one of those
Got it.
cars. And here's the thing, Ken. Here's
So
the
you
thing that
okay? Take a breath.
what
Take a breath.
I
Take
am.
a breath.
I am.
Take a
I've
breath.
got
You're
to calm down.
screaming. You got to calm down, Cal. You're letting these Xenu lights take over your life like it's some sort of cult religion. We're gonna fight against them. You're not alone. I want you to take a breath. Okay. Do you have some sort of nature cigarette that you can partake in tonight? And take a breath. Um, you are not
Can't take a
alone.
breath off smoking a cigarette, but yeah.
The blathering community is around you. I just last night had to end the work I was doing because there was someone with too bright of headlights. It was rainy and the windshield was I couldn't and I turned into a curb
Yeah.
that I of a driveway that I pulled in all the time. So Cal, we're going to fight this, okay? We're going to write our local representatives both in Tennessee and LA.
Well, Ken, I talked to you about road safety. I talked to you before about how by myself was a hazard on the road in
Yes.
my path.
Yes.
So, so these people to me are
All
are
right.
are well, you know what I'm saying. I'm not just
Okay.
talking about anybody.
I know what
The
you're saying.
people who want these lights and do these lights.
Yeah.
I mean, they should
Okay.
know as much as
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
Cal,
going on.
Cal, let me tell you something. And this is my final thought. Then we're going to let you go. And I'm going to take some other
All
calls. I
right,
got some
all right, all
questions
right,
to
all right.
answer. If you have a question for me, ask it now. Or if you want to put it as a super chat, we'll get it at the end of the show. We're calling them super chatters because I'm stupid.
Super Blathering. Super Blathering. Who
Super
said that?
Blathers. Oh,
Let
that's
it
right.
go.
You
Let it
Laserbolt said
go.
that. Super Blathers. Okay,
You
Super
gotta
Blathers. I
adopt
like
it.
that.
You
I
gotta
like.
adopt it.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Cal. All right,
All
Cal.
right.
Cal. Here's the problem. Something you just said. This is what's going on in the world right now. Generally speaking, and I don't know if anyone here in chat has these lights, these xenon lights. If you put them into your car, you probably are already the type of asshole that doesn't care what they do. And that's the problem in the world. As Anakin said, Mom, you say no one wants to help each other. And that's the problem with the galaxy. And that's the problem with these lights, Cal. And that's what we got to fight. Empathy. We got to fight for empathy.
Well, I understand that, but I'm also talking about fighting for safety, Ken. Those lights are a danger to people. And
Okay.
if you have him, that's cool.
Look,
Whatever. You're in the chat, you got him, that's cool.
let me tell you something, Cal. I'm gonna let you go. Don't you talk over me, Cal. Vermont Mike's
Whatever,
behind you.
man.
Vermont Mike is behind you.
Whatever.
What does that make you feel, Cal? Stop it. And Cal, stop thinking that I don't love you.
Nobody ever said that, Ken.
You
Nobody ever
sometimes
said that.
you sometimes send me messages that you in which I'm paraphrasing. Ken, I thought you loved me, but I guess you don't.
that is all
Cal,
that
I love
out why. Don't you hang up first for me before I finish this real quick, Ken?
Yeah.
You
Okay.
you know. No matter what I say, it depends on my mood.
Okay.
No matter what I
Okay.
say.
Cal, you've been on air for close to 10 minutes.
Who
I'm
cares?
gonna let you go.
All right, I'll see you. I'll
All
see
right.
you. I will
King
see
Sport Cal.
you sometime.
Whenever you see. I can't
Yeah.
wait for it. King Sport Cal, everybody. Michael McCarcel. This kind of proves my point. Not everyone. My fiance has them because the car came with them. She feels guilty about it. I think that's okay. Michael, she has a pass from me in the Blathering community. I think if you put them in your car, and I'm not saying there's not a purpose behind them, right? I don't, it's like, I don't think every person that goes in a gun store doesn't have a good reason to get a said weapon. I'm not going to generally, not going to say, I've been around guns a long time. I don't assume everyone who walks out with a shotgun doesn't need it to defend against squirrels. All right. I get it. But same with these lights. I think if you put them in your car, you might have reason, but you also don't care that you're hurting other people. Okay. We are going to get to some more calls soon. Lauren Ramos says, I feel light newer cars within the last years come with brighter lights. Maybe there's some, look, I'm not opposed. I want people to understand here. I'm not opposed to the advancement of lighting technology on moving vehicles. I think that's fine. I think that's okay. We're going to take a call. Addie says she has answers. Addie Galley's here. So there are LED lights and xenon lights that are way too bright, and it's counterintuitive that it's unregulated. And it's so counterintuitive that it's unregulated. Man, that's the thing, Addie Gallia. You're a great Jedi, and you're bringing up a great point here. We got to regulate things, I believe, in regulations. Matty Gunner says, my visa doesn't allow me to buy a gun or lease a car, and I'm happy for that. Don't want people from UK coming here doing what they want. Gaming Everything says, hi, Ken, you're a fan from India. I missed you before in your Twitch stream. Oh, yeah, good to catch you live. Just want to say, keep taking. Yeah. Oh, my God. What was your username? I appreciate you checking in. Yes, we used to chat all the time on the old Twitch streams. So glad you're here. Thanks for being here. Matty Gunners, Kingsport Cal says you can use his car. Eric Elliott says, I have no expertise in stuff. I'm just here for MC Ken. Eric Elliott gets it. Eric, if I was in front of you, I'd ask your permission and then I'd give you a big hug. Okay. Cameron Stewart says, regulate. How will companies make a few billion more dollars? Exactly. I brought this up earlier. Got some questions to get to, but I want to highlight Cameron Hass becoming a channel member. Cameron, you can call into the show. You also get the video version of a Monday morning show, my podcast that starts the week off, usually late Sunday night into Monday morning. Check out that. Couple questions. Matthew Kulunad checking in here says, Ken, any games you're looking forward to in 2029? Yes, talking about video games, I'm going to continue to play Fortnite. Still having fun with Star Wars Outlaws. I can put it down and not feel the need to play it over and over again. I'm looking forward to an updated Madden 25. I stopped playing 24 just because I got fired. I'll tell you, I got fired as a coach after 16 years in my franchise mode, and I didn't get another team, and they forced me to retire. And therefore, all my creative players, I couldn't manage anymore. So I started a franchise over again, and it just didn't feel the same. So I stopped playing. I enjoy video games that are real. I like getting fired, but let me get a job again. Madden 24. So I'm going to play Madden 25. I think I'm still playing MLB The Show 2021, which was the last big update or advancement. And then there's been a lot of complaints at 22, 23, and 24. The game did not really move forward. It's still going on old gen technology. We're basically getting a souped up PS4 version, but there's some rumors and some hopes that MLB The Show 2025 will be a next gen console game or higher, and might mean I'll give a go on that one there. And I will say, I think I get the Indiana Jones game on PS5 in 2025. I think I get that. I'm definitely going to give that one a go. So, Matthew, great question there. Dylan Barry, check it in. says, question. So I decided to start watching the Larry Sanders Show. What's your comedy relationship with Shanling? Have you seen the show? Apatow Doc inspired me to watch. Thanks for the B-Day shout out. Yeah, happy belated again. Yeah, so my relationship with Larry Sanders is a positive one, especially in terms of comedy. Really heartbroken when he passed. The thing I loved about Sanders, and there was the Gary Shandling show, which I actually had seen more of than the Larry Sanders show. I have to admit, I have not seen all of the Larry Sanders show. I didn't have HBO back then. Might not have been allowed to watch HBO back then. I think I still was at home when the show debuted. But love everyone on it. Janine Garofalo, Scott Thompson come to mind, all the people on the show. And I say, hey now, even though Tambor is kind of his own level of problematic. So I definitely want to do a full dive on the show. It's more than enough time. The Gary Shandling show before that, which was a fourth wall breaker. Alan Zweibel, former SNL writer, I believe was the lead writer, one of the writers on it, if not the co-creator. I'll have to look that up. But Shandling as a comic, always one of my favorites. And Shandling's lack of belief in himself is something that I've always looked up to in a weird way. He famously, I know they covered in the doc, but Gary Shandling famously, he was a comedy store door guy. This is back in the heyday, and he was not passed for 7 years, I believe the number. He was not passed to be a regular. For someone who eventually became an absolute stand-up comedy legend, the fact that he wasn't passed during a time that there's a ton of comics. But Mitzi Shore would not pass him. Gary, you're not ready. He would tell the story often, but he finally got passed, and would go on to be, I think, one of the most influential comics and one of my favorites. Before he passed, there was a great interview with him and Jerry Seinfeld. Seinfeld at least walked back some of his comments recently. I have a kind of a roll my eyes at Jerry relationship with him, but Jerry, long one of my favorite comics. Comedians and Cars Getting Coffee. I still think has some great interviews in that series if you like Seinfeld enough. But the Shandling one is one of the best ones, and it's not too far before Shandling passes, and they go to the Comedy Store, which Gary had not been at in a while. I don't know. I remember last time Jerry's been at the Comedy Store, which is kind of weird. It's kind of weird. It's like Mickey leaving Disneyland and going, yeah, I haven't gone back there in a while. Like. They go back. It's pretty touching. It's an episode that I watched after he'd passed. So check that out if you haven't. Love Gary Shandling. I just connect with that level of he honestly hates himself. It was real, but he also was so deep and continued to do what he loved to do. Found his voice, found his place, and is a very insightful guy. So there you go. Ben Wellington's here. Hey, Ben, the Larry Sanders Show is genius, absolute genius. I watched it as a kid, thought it was real. Tambor was a problem, but he was great as well. Yeah, I look that I've always been a fan of Jeffrey Tambor's work, and then to learn some of the stuff is disheartening. It's disheartening, and we all have to, in this modern age, we have to deal with it. But I think me having to struggle with being a little disheartened over Jeffrey Tambor is a small price to pay, considering the amount of people, specifically women, that took abuse and anger outbursts and just a lot of horrible things from him. So I'll work through it. Ben also said earlier, I saw this comment, just checking in. Is George Lucas still the world's goofiest billionaire? That could be. We'll have to do a running. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do that once on a, instead of the best burger, 16 tier March Madness, we'll do the goofiest billionaire. And not include the absolute monsters who are also goofy. The worst in the world is also pretty dangerously goofy, which is part of the problem. Is he related to Watt Tambor, the techno union? Yeah, I think techno union. And Trade T says something that's I think at one point we all run headlong into it. Trade T says I'm struggling with the same regarding Neil Gaiman. Yeah, the news, and it's not just the recent news of Neil Gaiman, but the ongoing story of the abuses at his hands, his abuses of power, and everything about it was pretty devastating. And then they finally get some, there was kind of last week or so, there was some news that came out that just kind of was kind of the big confirmation on it in what way. And I'm dancing around it because I wasn't a Neil Gaiman fan, not in the sense of I didn't like him. I didn't read his work and wasn't moved or affected by the shows. But I know people that know him. I know people that are friends with him. I know a lot of people greatly influenced by his work. and also a lot of people that found comfort and solace and protection in his words. He was very outspoken for the right issues, and that is to me even a greater violation of trust. Um, and actions always speak louder than words. And I'm not saying I never want to be so cynical as to say someone who is being outspoken on issues, who identifies as a feminist and they're this powerful male writer. I don't want to be cynical and say we should disregard that, but that often is sometimes the case, right? It's used as a shield, but it's also used maybe as a web to pull victims in. So it's been tough, and I know a lot of people that absolutely have been devastated. It's beyond just like me. One of my favorite all-time musicians is Ryan Adams, who a couple years ago, a lot of truths came out. A lot of them were like, yeah, well, duh, because that's who he was. He was always he always said who he was in his songs, and he was pretty effed up and alcoholic and heavy, not just heavy drinking, but drug use. So a lot of it was like, yeah, well, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. But then there was some things about his marriage to Mandy Moore and stuff where it's just like, I don't play him on pop rock and radio. I'm not going to lie and say his music doesn't sometimes come up in my rotation, but I never not think of it. And we all have to face it at some point. Not just simply artist from art, but just how we engage with people and how we look up to people, and it's hard to trust. It's a trust breaker. So there we go. From Larry Sanders to the people in our worlds that break our trust, and that is kind of the thing, right? We put a lot of trust into people. I'll be honest. Some of you probably have some trust in me, and I aim to keep that trust. I'm still a human, and I don't think I have any skeletons in my closet. And if I did, I'd probably barf them up on air. But that's why I take your trust serious. I absolutely do. Michael McCarthy talking about another one. Joss Whedon being an example about that. A lot of truth came out later. All right, we got soon here. We're going to do 16 seconds of sports with Steve, I believe. Steve, give me a thumbs up if that's what we got. We got that. But before that, we are going to go to our resident professor of smart things, Addie, who's going to explain what the hell inert gas is, because I have a feeling that it's not what I think it is, Addie. Thank you for your call. Thank you again for your segment last week, but also your great conversation over the weekend that I know was tough, and it still is a tough week for you as you are in the higher education world, and it's being affected greatly by what's going on. So happy you're here. Please teach me, oh dumb person.
Just when I think I'm out, you pull me back in.
That's a Godfather 3 reference, a movie I've never
seen. You're not missing anything. If you ever do it, just watch the first two.
That's what I hear.
So I had no plans to call in tonight, but I spotted a chance to educate, and I can never pass that up.
I should make an alarm sound where it's like, educate, educate, educate.
Okay. So first things first, I'm going to explain what xenon is. Then I'm going to explain to you why headlights are brighter than they used to be.
Okay, I love this. We're going to get the answers right here, kids. Xenon is not just an alien. Addie, take it away.
So xenon is an inert gas. It is one of what we call the noble gases on the periodic table. They are so named that because for a very long time we believed they couldn't make bonds with anything else. It turns out that's not true for all of them. The noble gases on the periodic table, if you're keeping track at home, would be things like helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, and radon.
Oh, okay. First of all, it sounds like you're doing table. It sounds like you're doing crypto codes. Every once in a while I get spam that someone says, "Thank you for the information. Could you activate this code?" It sounds like that. All right, hold on. I need to double check some things. No, you're saying noble gas, as in like I'm a noble man. Like, is it spelled like that,
Correct.
Or is it different? Noble,
nope.
Noble gas. Okay.
Noble gas.
Yeah, I think Steve said.
Not to be confused with the Nobel Prize, which is spelled
okay. Yeah, the Nobel. This is the Nobel. I think Steve speaks for all of us when he says, "I think Addie just cast a spell on us." I believe so. Okay. So I got that. And here's I think I still have it. I definitely don't fit into it anymore. I used to wear a periodic table T-shirt in the late '90s, Addie. Couldn't tell you one thing about it. Me is dumb, but you would appreciate it.
Yesterday I took myself on retail therapy and I bought the periodic table of Taylor Swift. So, we've all
There you
got
go.
it.
That's an inert gas. Okay.
So the term inert gas just means that it's not reactive. So it isn't going to explode on impact if you are in a front end collision with your car.
Which makes sense. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. So these are the types of gases that have been used for years in things like neon beer signs.
Got it. And those neon signs, excuse me, audience, are prickly little bitch goddesses, because we had one at GPA. Let me tell you, that GPA neon sign that used to hang at GPA, the Good People Association, with me, Josh McCool, Mark Riley, cost us a boatload and had to be handled like we were, we should have dressed like Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future trying to handle some, nuclear powered car. Yes. So I get that. Okay.
Okay. So now to why headlights are brighter than they used to be.
Okay.
Do we all remember the incandescent light bulb?
Well, yeah.
Okay. The incandescent light bulb is illegal in the United States.
It is?
Yeah.
Why is it illegal?
So over a decade ago, the federal government passed a rule prohibiting energy efficient lighting. And in August of 2023, that rule became law, and it is illegal to manufacture and sell incandescent light bulbs in the United States of America because other light bulbs like CFLs are more energy efficient. Now, It's entirely possible that in the next 2 weeks, it's going to be legal to make incandescent light bulbs again.
Yes.
But there is no alternative. That the incandescent light bulb is the old dim light bulb that was in a car. You can't make those anymore.
Okay.
So all cars have to have LED or xenon headlights. Now, from the bit of research I did before I called in, because unlike what I want you all to believe, I don't know everything. I just Google things.
I would have believed, by the way, I would have believed that you had this all on tap in terms of knowledge. What do you just Google search? How does a professor research things? Did you pull some dusty books off a shelf?
I literally just put the question I have into Google.
Okay, I've heard of the Google machine.
And then sometimes it makes me do a second Google because that answer just prompts another question that I have.
Or it's an AI answer that doesn't make any sense. Okay.
So LED lights outperform xenon lights in terms of lifespan, energy efficiency, and sometimes even brightness. From what I did find, xenon lights will dim over time, which makes sense because you're probably losing some of the gas, or it's just not as energy efficient when it's lit.
Also like me. Okay.
You can tell the difference between LED and xenon headlights because LED lights are the whiter light, and xenon lights have a more bluish tint to them.
I hate both of them, but okay. I mean, I have I think some LED light. I don't know what I have in the house. I don't know. Now you're making me question what I have, Addie.
But I mean, everything is either going at this point, unless you have a stash of light bulbs somewhere.
I think Vermont Mike does. I'm looking him in the chat. He says, I still buy incandescents. I don't believe he buys them. I believe Vermont Mike in his cabin in Vermont has an entire storm shelter full of incandescent lights. That's what I believe right now. Mike, prove me wrong.
Vermont Mike buys the CFLs they now make to look like incandescent light bulbs.
I don't know. I got to
tell you. Because they don't look like the squirrely light bulbs anymore, as my mother would call them.
Oh, I like to see. I like the squirrelies. I don't have any squirrelies in here.
I'm just you can buy a light bulb that looks like an old-fashioned light bulb because they put a plastic casing around it.
Yeah. But were those popular in the early 2000s? Because I used to get them from IKEA and they'd last a long time. But you telling me I destroyed the earth?
No. Those are compact fluorescent light bulbs. That's what replaced the incandescent light bulb. That is good for the earth because they last forever. The only thing I will warn, and I don't have the chat up, so I have no idea what people are saying about me, but I will warn you all if you have the squirrely ones, when they do finally go out, be careful about being near them and then disposing of them. They probably had a little bit of mercury in them.
Yeah, well, yeah. And they could, yeah, okay. So
And you
you
don't
hear
want
that,
animal
Vermont
rats.
Mike? Vermont Mike, your stash of storm shelter full of lights. Careful.
So, but the squirrely ones are fine. The new ones are fine. They even make compact fluorescent light bulbs that actually look like warm old incandescent light bulbs now instead of the bright white light that you would get. That was always my complaint with compact fluorescents is all of a
I
sudden I
mean,
felt like I was just in the supermarket all the time.
okay. See, Vermont Mike's saying CFLs are the devil. He's also saying the Canadian Football League is the devil. He won't buy them. I'm telling you, Vermont Mike's
Well, I'm
got a
telling you,
stash.
Vermont Mike, you're not buying incandescents.
He's not. Vermont Mike went to some military base. He hit it, and he stole all the lights, and he's got a stash. I know Vermont Mike. He's smiling where he is. He's listening to some Oasis, and he's like, Ken's got me.
But that is the long and short of why we can't have nice things.
We can't have nice things. That's been proven time and time again, including you can't look up to New York Yankees closers, as I've discovered recently. But yes,
this one was a potential win for the environment. So I can't be too mad at it.
I like
to Kingsport Cow's point. I also hate driving at night. I hate those damn lights.
I think a lot of people do.
I really hate the new grills on Volkswagens. I don't know if you've seen any new Volkswagens.
Nah, not a lot in town here.
They're just like a single line all the way across, and then the VW also lights up.
You're right.
For whatever, it makes me think of a Star Wars villain, every single time.
It looks like a First Order snowtrooper. That's what it looks like. Absolutely. Well, Addie, Professor of Smart Things, you've lived up to the title. Folks, this is why I love doing the blathering. I had no idea what we're talking about today, but we solved car headlights. We solved it today. People in chat learned new things. I learned new things. We discovered that Vermont Mike is holding an entire... He's not even in chat denying it. You notice Vermont Mike hasn't said one word about the truth that he's storing incandescent lights in a storm shelter in Vermont. So, Addie, I appreciate what you've done.
Anytime, Ken. I'll be back on Thursday with another 60 seconds of science. This was an impromptu 60 seconds of science.
Love that. Love that. Thank you, Addie. Appreciate that. Addie, checking in. We are hanging out here on the Blathering. If you're just swinging in here, this is what I do Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Also want to highlight a few things before we get to Steve. We also got Cam looking ready to I saw him there in the queue. Cam, if you reconnect your device. Cool. Okay, so we're going to take Cam in a second, and then we'll do producer Steve for 16 seconds. I love Cam, a new member today, and we're excited to get to that here. But what was I doing? Oh, a couple of things to highlight here. As always, this show is brought to you in part by some of the great friends I know doing great things, like my pal, former roommate, Aaron Alexovich. You might know him and his work from Invader Zim. He was a character designer, worked on a lot of things on that show to make that show what it was. He has a new graphic novel out called Shock City. Get it wherever you get your graphic novels. I'm going to try to get Aaron on the show to talk about it. It is a story of two kids trying to survive in a city run by a fascist. Also, check out Blue Star Meditation, the podcast by my pal Scott. You can hit those QR codes if you're watching and you have your phone up, or you can just search Blue Star Meditation wherever you get your podcasts. And I want to remind you that coming Tuesday early, but wherever you are, look for my interview tomorrow with Dan Larson from Secret Galaxy. We had an hour-long interview. We get to a lot of things. And he says, if you are a fan of Secret Galaxy, which you all should be, subscribe over there. Tell Dan I sent you. Does great mini docs on your favorite toys, TV shows, things from the 80s and 90s and 70s, but goes beyond just the fun nostalgia. They go pretty deep with stuff, but also they have a purpose, and he explains it in the show. It's Dan Larson, and I titled it Dan Larson's Secret Galaxy to be cheeky, but also he reveals just some good stuff about what they do over there. So that's coming tomorrow there. Vermont Mike says, Dan's got a great set of videos on vintage toys. Yes. Fake Nerd is here. Check out Brandon McClure. And Brandon, drop a link to your Substack in here. Brandon is Brandon. I'll tell you what I'll say. He literally says, I literally just picked up Shock City. I didn't know you knew him. I knew him. I did. Roommates. I was his roommate when he got hired out of Cal Arts to go work on Invader Zim. If you need what is it? Let me tell you. Where did I do this? Brandon McClure's got a great Substack out there. Drop the link. But Brandon is my first comic guy in town, really. I was about 10 years ago, was at an old job, and around the corner was a comic shop. And so, at night I was producing the schmoes and working with all those fine people. At my lunch breaks once a week, I'd head over um, to the comic shop, and Brandon was one of the first people to form a friendship with me selling comics. So there you go. All right. I think Cam is hooked in and ready. We're going to try to take Cam. He's a new channel member. Yes, he is. I can see him reacting right there. Cam, welcome to the show. Thanks for becoming a channel member today. How are you?
Not bad, Ken. How you doing?
Oh, Cam, I'm doing great, man. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, I've kind of been like I've been on some of these streams just like in the background. I was like, why?
Yeah.
I don't know what took me so long here, Ken. I don't know.
You're like a wizard. You arrive to channel membership when you need to be. I'm happy to have you here.
Yeah, no, I've been a fan of you since I was like 13 years old. So yeah.
Okay. Number one, thank you. But two, when you say it like that, Steve's laughing. Okay, Steve's laughing. All right, but
I'm 30. I'm 35 today, Ken. Actually, no.
Oh, no. You're gonna say I'm 57. No, it means a lot, Ken. It means a lot. It means a lot that you're still here. Let me just say that. That means a lot to me.
Yeah, for sure.
What's on your mind, man?
The one thing, you know what? Last night I've had a problem. I've been staying up too late. I'm a student, so I can kind of get away with it. But I go down the rabbit holes as everyone does, I'm sure here.
Yes.
And Cam's 14 now. I saw in the chat. That's good. And last night I watched. So I'm from Ontario. So we have a thing here called the CBC in Canada, which our potential conservative government would like to defund, and I am not for that at all. And if there's any Canadians here that were thinking of voting that way, please maybe reconsider. I digress.
Here.
I don't think I'm going to find them in this chat either. So, but I did watch. I don't know if you've talked about it or not, but the Louis C.K. documentary that the CBC they did is called "Sorry Not Sorry." I just kind of stumbled upon it last night. It's really, really great. Each part kind of goes through each of the different 5 women that stepped forward in that New York Times article when that came out. Anyways, I was just wanted to highly recommend it. It was I'm a big fan of comedy, of course, and it was a very fascinating watch. The CBC has their problems also.
Sure,
I'm not trying to sorry, but so it was really good. I would check it out if you have. I mean, it's about 90 minutes, but if you got the time.
I'm looking it up right now. I had not heard of this, which is weird. It came out in 2023. I definitely want to take this in. Speaking of people that, I looked up to as an artist and a performer and loved his show, and this comes out, and some of it, was a nod. I don't want to get into it because I wasn't in the circles. I knew one of the comics that had an issue with him. So it was kind of an open secret, which is such a heavy. I hate that phrase, open secret. Kind of indicts a lot of people that maybe you shouldn't be dead, including myself in the situation. It wasn't like I knew anything, but you for whispers. Sure. But that is fascinating.
Yeah, that was what was really cool about it. And they did really delve into how much of an open secret it was. And I like that they did have people in there that kind of owned one guy who I'm a fan of, Mike Schur. He fully was like, this was something I knew. We had him on Parks and Rec, and I knew about it when we brought him back for a guest spot. And he very and it was just very indicative of the culture. I mean, we're not talking about 40 years ago, but no. Still,
part of the danger.
Yeah. So, anyways, I just wanted to give that a shout out. If I didn't think it would come along a lot of people's algorithms, so everyone should check it out. Yeah,
I love that. No, that's a great recommendation. And analyzing too, I don't know what the doc does, but that title, "Sorry Not Sorry," just makes me think of like what happened with Dan Harmon, the creator of Community, and I think it was with Megan Gans, who was public about that it was her who made the not even allegations, just spoke her truth about what had happened. And for Dan to go away and come back and actually recently speak upon it in a way that seemed like one of the first true, not even apologies, but the first lesson learned. I changed. They were right. I was the villain. This was wrong. It was a great interview. You all look it up, and I think I mentioned on the show before. But it just goes into what is an actual apology, what is an actual change, and what is the best way forward when this stuff happens.
Yeah, and they really get into that too. How it's like the reaction, because it ends kind of with his comeback that's happening currently.
It's like award nominated comeback.
Yeah, his Grammy winning. Yeah,
That's right. He did win. He won, right? He won.
Won a Grammy.
He won a goddamn Grammy.
Yeah, and they talk. It's like I remember being. I mean, I was in high school, but I remember when he made the apology. I mean, people were ogling him like he was like, oh, how incredible of him that he owned up to it in this way. But I mean, he didn't keep that energy, not even one iota in practice, right? So it was just very, very fascinating. And I'll let you go now. I think I didn't want to mess up the schedule of your show, but thank you.
Cam, you're not messing up the schedule of the show. This is a home run debut call. I'm going to talk to producer Steve about making you eligible for the Rookie of the Call award. We'll make that up. No, Cam, I appreciate it. Great stuff, and hoping for the best up there with the political situation. It's a struggle everywhere. I don't think there's a lot of safe spots in the world right now.
Yeah, I don't love how much your guys' current administration is getting involved in ours. It's pretty scary, but thanks, Ken, and I can't wait to call back again.
Thank you, Cam. Yeah, one of the things Cam is talking about here just relates to our recent election. We had spoken on this before the show, where just around the world, a lot of incumbent leaders and administrations and ruling government parties were up against a world that had taken some punches to the face and a lot of systems failing, and so they were maybe bound to lose, which is part of what we're dealing with here. It's just we're unfortunate to have this absolute, monster up there. Up there. Yeah, it's just I don't know. I think maybe Norway, New Zealand might be the only two places left to move. We're all going to go there. You're watching the Blathering Live. Thanks to Cam for that. I joke about someone saying, "Hey, I started watching you when I was 13," but it really means a lot. I've been doing this now in a very public fashion since about 2012. Been in entertainment since the 90s, but in the digital media world, it's not uncommon for someone to say that. But what is more common is for media to drift out of your life, whether it be algorithms, your styles, your lifestyle changes, and everything. So it really means a lot when someone's like, "Hey, I've been watching you for a bit." I mean, though, Cam is a very smart-sounding 16-year-old. Laserbolt's here. And then we got, my cousin's here. Everyone say hi to my cousin. All right, say hi to my cousin, Michelle. One of my favorites. I don't like to pit family members against each other, but Michelle's in the running for perhaps my favorite family member. Okay? She's in the running. It's not a contest. Some completely cut off. Michelle's not. I'm glad to see Laserbolt here as well. We're going to be going here to producer Steve for 16 seconds of sports. It's not the theme song. We got to work on that. If there's any super chats, none yet, we'll answer those at the end of the show with what we're calling super blatherings because of our pal Laserbolt. Laserbolt, early in the show, I know you just got here, you got voted as the winner in the super chat question contest. Super blathers. Cameron says, thanks for the call. Super fun. Awesome to talk to you for the first time. 13-year-old me is pumped. You know what, Cameron, home run call. Home run call, man. All right, let's do it. We are going to do it with cameras. You camera ready, Steve? All right, producer Steve's here. And we are going to be doing this segment. How you doing, buddy, first of all? How you doing? I got to talk to you about the Eagles, but how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me, as always. Appreciate it. Always camera ready. No, thank you so much.
Did you flip your hair when you did that?
You had to make sure, gotta make sure it's right.
Love it. All right, I'm going to interview you as a fan. I'm not worried about my 0-2. On Thursday, we'll worry about my 0-2 record this weekend in the NFL playoff picture, which was disappointing. It was hard to take. The Eagles looked amazing. How are you feeling, buddy?
I'm feeling very good about going to the Super Bowl, getting 2 weeks to kind of just drink it in. This is what I wanted, Ken. I didn't want to be the person to say it out loud, that I was the only person outside of Kansas City rooting for Patrick Mahomes to beat Josh Allen and the Bills, but I was. Yeah. I'm not afraid to say it. I want revenge. Yeah. I want to beat him in the Super Bowl, just like they beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Yeah. So I want to beat the best. That's what I want. I'm glad the Chiefs are in it. And if the Eagles lose to the Chiefs, then darn, we lost to probably the second greatest player in the game, who will probably be the greatest player ever when he's done. So we'll try again.
I got the only thing I've got against Patrick Mahomes II is I'm pretty sure he's a Trump voter. That's the only thing I really got against him. But he's not demonstrative with it, which it's still a problem. But I can look past that for him, not Aaron Rodgers, but for him. I'm having trouble. I'm just having trouble accepting him that he's as great as he is. Not for any personal stuff, but I had this problem, Steve, with Joe Montana. So I was a Dan Marino guy, and everyone would say, "Well, Joe's the best quarterback," and I'd be like, "You're nuts to that. Dan's the best quarterback. He's revolutionizing the position." But every time you watch Joe play, it was like, "Yeah, Joe's the best," and that's what I feel with Pat Mahomes.
Yeah, I think we did a lot of that with Brady and Manning in the early 2000s as well, before Brady just really piled it on with rings. It was like, yeah, Brady was good. Like he wins,
Yeah.
but Manning's like so much better. The numbers are better. You just thought he was a better quarterback. No,
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is just we're watching Michael Jordan, but it's football.
It is.
You need to kind of just revel in it a little bit.
It's just weird. I remember Patrick Mahomes as a baseball pitcher, his father, and I was like, the kid's doing good, but he is. All right, so I'm with you. We'll talk about it more Thursday, and then you and I will have to chat. We're gonna make some Super Bowl prop bets. I'm gonna try to wrangle at least Makuga, perhaps Ellis. I don't know if Ellis is emotionally ready to talk about two other teams in the big game instead of his Commanders, but that another day. But I will say, you could just tell almost from the beginning that the Eagles had come to play and that Washington was still young, and everything I had said about Washington going into the game about, no, they're not just a flash in the pan. This is a year they're playing with that kind of storybook magic that gets them to the end. The storybook closed very early. So congrats to the Eagles.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited for these Eagles. This is the best Eagles team I've ever seen. So I know they won the Super Bowl a few years ago. This team on paper is better. So I hope we can do it again.
They got a running back. Though I enjoyed the third string running back. I'll just say it. The little white guy running back who ran with his tongue out trying to get to that end zone in the end of the game. It was fun.
Forced a fumble earlier in the game too.
He did. He's good. I love it. And that you could tell with Barkley coming out, rooting him on too, and making a point to speak about him in the post game too. So it's a good team. All right, Steve. I don't even know what's coming. It's 16 seconds of sports. Yeah.
16 seconds of sports. It's a bit football heavy because we're going to run out of football soon, and we're going to talk about some stuff we already talked about, but there's some more on the end there. We'll get your reactions too. So here we go. Ready for 16 seconds of sports? Here we go. So the Chiefs beat the Bills 32-29. The Eagles defeated communism 55-23. Go Birds. The Eagles and the Chiefs will play in Super Bowl in New Orleans on February 9th. Kansas City opens as a 1.5-point favorite. The Jets have hired Aaron Glenn as head coach. The Cowboys have promoted Brian Schottenheimer to head coach, and the Raiders have hired Pete Carroll as head coach.
All right. Ding, ding, ding. I think you got it in 16 seconds. By the way, I counted last time. I think you were like 17 and a half or 18. You were good. You were good last week. That's the radio rule number one. If you say it's a minute of news, it can be minute 20. No one's counting. All right. Where do you want me to go? You asked me a question because I talked a little bit about the Eagles.
Yeah, we talked about the Eagles. We know we're going to talk about the Super Bowl plenty more. So let's talk about some of these head coaching hires, specifically in your division. The Jets get Aaron Glenn. The Lions are getting that issue where, hey, you get really good and everyone hires all your coaches away. I know how that feels as an Eagles fan. It hasn't been fun. Yep. So, what do you think about the Jets getting Aaron Glenn and them not really knowing what's going on with their quarterback?
Did Glenn come out and say that he wanted Rodgers there? Did I see that?
That's correct. He did.
He did. All right. Hey, look, I think he can still play. Don't like the guy. But I don't have to hang out with him. I don't have to root for him. I'm having fun rooting against Aaron Rodgers. But I could see that 40, 41. He didn't look his age. He took a year off accidentally. He recovered. Where Brady showed, you can jump in some cryo pits or something and last a little longer. It makes sense to me if you're like, let me have one more year with this guy. I'm going to get someone behind him. And we'll build the franchise after that. You're not going to build a franchise around him, but if I was a coach in that position, hey, let's do it. Let's build from here. He's a Hall of Famer. He can still toss the ball around. Let's get someone behind him and let's go. I like the pick of Glenn. He played there, right? He was a cornerback, I think, in New York. Yep. Good guy coming home. I like this idea, and I feel for the Lions. I do feel for the Lions. I know exactly what you're talking about. The Dolphins are probably losing their defensive coordinator, and we didn't do good. So imagine you get all the way there. You almost get to and this year you didn't almost get to the big game. But they're going to be back. Dan Campbell's going to find some coaches. So I feel less sorry for the Lions. The Pete Carroll to, I was almost said LA to Las Vegas thing. Is it Pete Carroll's what? He's mid-70s? Early 70s?
72, 73. Yeah.
72, 73. Look, age is a different thing nowadays. I kind of like it because of that. I've never been a Pete Carroll fan. Do you know why, Steve? Have I talked about this before?
I don't think I've heard your Pete Carroll gripes. No, please.
He was the head coach of the New York Jets And there was a game against the Dolphins in which my favorite kicker, Pete Stoyanovich, missed a kick late in the game. And they cut to the sidelines, and Pete Carroll looked at Pete Stoyanovich and did a choke. He made a choke gesture. I never forgave him. So all the times at USC, Seattle, that's burned in my heart since the early 90s. I remember Pete Carroll doing that.
That's a hell of a grudge to hold. All I do. I know what you're talking about now. That you say it, I just didn't know that was the reason why you hated Pete Carroll so much. But that's as a Dolphins fan, that's totally valid. That's, your hate is valid.
I still question. Look, I got a lot of thoughts on college sports, college football. Like, his sudden departure from USC. Hey, guess what, everybody? I'm going to go back to the NFL. Surprise, yoinks, and then all this stuff that kind of happened afterwards. I was always suspicious about that.
Yeah, there's a few coaches in that era of football, I think, in the 2000s that would have similar skeletons in their closet to Pete Carroll.
Yes,
but
yeah.
And then the Cowboys promoted Brian Schottenheimer to their head coach.
Oh, yeah, I like that simply because it's a Schottenheimer. Rest in peace, Marty. But I got to ask you, as an Eagles fan, do you feel anything will matter in Dallas, or do you think it doesn't change until Jerry Jones packs up his bags and heads towards, shall we say, another destination?
As long as Mr. Burns is in control, the Cowboys are not going to change.
I love it. Hey, similar to Raiders, Al Davis, maybe?
Yeah. No, it's Jerry's a whole other animal when it comes to just the meddling and the coaches don't want to work with him anymore. It's just yeah.
You almost feel like Mike McCarthy when he got fired was like, I'm okay with this. There's something else. Steve, that's great. Any other final things? Any other thoughts?
No, that's it. We'll talk more about the Super Bowl next time. And yeah, we're going to do some fun prop bets. We'll have some fun things around that. Gatorade color, timings of things, all that good stuff.
Love that. There you go. Thanks, Steve. We'll see you Thursday.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Producer Steve calling in as he does 16 Seconds of Sports. We do that on Mondays as long as Steve's available. That's the thing about this. Steve has a life. He has a child. He has a job. And he has that hair to maintain. If he's ever not available, we have to accept that. All right. A few more minutes left in the show. We got your calls, your questions, any super blathers, you send them my way. I'll answer them here. Appreciate your questions. Kyle Harlow here asking about Nick Lowry, one of the greatest kickers of all time in the NFL, Kansas City kicker, one-bar kicker. Saw some highlights. I was watching some old highlights of the NFL because this is what I do to fall asleep. And Nick Lowry was in it. High-waisted pants. He had his football knickers all the way up to his chest. It was really off-putting. All right. We got a call lined up. David calling back in. David's here. David, how you doing? Welcome back to the show.
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you so perfect.
All right. Yeah, last time we had a little trouble there.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, yeah. So I saw the Bob Dylan movie, Big Jim Mangold's Bob Dylan movie.
Thank you for honoring the Big Jim.
So this is the third movie that he's done that's based on a real person, real events, and I think it's interesting that he apparently finds it less restrictive to work with that than the lore of Star Wars.
That's a fascinating take and question. If you're posing it to me as a question, David.
Yeah.
So Bob Dylan, Johnny Cash. What was the other one?
The Ford v Ferrari.
That's right.
Ford versus Ferrari. Yeah. Which is like my dad's a car guy. And so that was one of the few movies that my parents went to see in a theater. And so when I saw him next and asked him how it was, the first thing out of his mouth was, there's a scene that's supposed to take place in 1965, and there's a 1967 Corvette in the background. I don't know what they were thinking.
But I'm not familiar with the Johnny Cash movie or all of the details of Johnny Cash's life, though I am a fan in general. Same with Dylan. I'm not a track-by-track, album-by-album fan of Dylan, but I respect what he brought to the table. And I'm a fan of his son, Jacob. There you go. I said it. I have a lot of Wallflower CDs.
Sure.
But I've heard this about the Dylan movie, that some stuff was changed, and that's not surprising. But to your question, yeah, it makes sense for me for Big Jim Mangold to say that about Star Wars. And there's a quote he said that I won't say was taken out of context. I think I take it like you're saying it. Like, he addressed the lore. He was very honest about not wanting to have to play with the lore. I think some people took it as he was dismissive towards Star Wars lore. He wasn't. He was just saying, hey, the other things you have to kind of adhere to them, because he just did Indiana Jones. And Indiana Jones lore is going to be a lot less. I think they were able to fill in a lot of blanks that they could or that they wanted in terms of Indy's backstory, the death of Shia, all that kind of stuff, which is one of my favorite scenes in Dial of Destiny, the discussion of it. But it makes sense because Big Jim Mangold has that kind of energy of, I'm an artist who's going to tell the story. This is the story of Dylan. It's not the biography of Dylan.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play around with it. Now, the car mistake, that's funny, that's hilarious. It could be completely just that, a mistake, or it could be Mangold going, no, I just want that car there. So I think what he might be up against, even though he's on the inside and I'm not, David, is the idea that a lot of people feel the crush of IP lore, but the crush is sometimes you holding it on yourself, if that makes sense. And I just wonder with Star Wars, he's going to have to answer to some lore, but I think he feels as though that there's a freedom, and I think I'm happy with that. But I do think it's hilarious because you're absolutely right. You're dealing with two of the most documented musicians of our lives, where fans of them know, just like I know a lot of the Beatles moments, where I could be like, oh, they didn't know Magic Alex until later. Like, it's funny that he found freedom in that, but he succeeded, so I'm happy.
Yeah, well, I think people expect dramatization in a movie about a true story because it's not a documentary. I think Star Wars fans actually take it more seriously, and more of the core base is going to know all the facts than a general audience is going to know about. General audience isn't going to know about cars or anything like that. So, but I think. But on the other, it is possible to go even further than to bump everyone. Like a while back, there was talk of Quentin Tarantino wanted to do a Star Trek movie,
right?
And I remember thinking, if he does that, he's obviously, he doesn't feel the need to adhere to factual history as shown by, Inglourious Bastards and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So he's not going to bother with the fictional history of Star Trek.
We would have had the Tarantino line, So we had the Kelvin universe, we'd have the Tarantino universe.
Yeah. But that's why it was so notable when Tony Gilroy mentioned the massacre, the Gorman massacre. It was like, oh wow, you actually care about that.
Yeah, I'll say this on Force Center. If you're all listeners of Force Center, and I suggest you all swing over there if you want some in-depth and detailed Star Wars celebration. I am without a doubt sometimes adversarial to Tony Gilroy. He has just said some things in the press that has just rubbed me the wrong way. That he has sounded dismissive of Star Wars, even though he's created it. However, I always want to pause and give him credit for exactly what you're talking about. He knew everything about Mothma. He knew about the speech in Rebels. He knew about the Gorman massacre. He worked it into season 1, and it's going to be a key part of season 2. So it makes me kind of swallow my hat a little bit on him. But it's a great point because I think him and Mangold had the same kind of energy. They're artists. They're doing their own vision. Kind of can't tell them what to do. The work within the system. Clearly, he worked within the system in Dial of Destiny. Everyone was happy with it internally. So it makes a lot of sense, but it makes sense that they have the same kind of like, ain't gonna tie me down, but all the way. Also, here's the 15 things I've hit that are lore approved.
Yeah, and Pablo Hidalgo says, when thinking of canon, think of events, not exactly how they're portrayed in things, because it is a dramatization. It's not necessarily a documentary.
It is, and I don't like to be tied to canon too much, even though I'm a canon junkie. I don't. When I'm listening to those stories, go with it. Just don't erase, don't erase the big moments. Don't retell them completely. Just build on what you want out of the moments. Well, David, that's a home run of a call too. Big home run call.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for calling in, David. Also want to highlight Kingsport Cal. Thank you for gifting 5 channel memberships out there. If you want to call in the show, you become a channel member, or you can become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/Ken We're almost out of here tonight, so don't worry about the calls. Jake Yakovetis says, I blocked him from calling. I haven't. I've just posted the studio links for all 3 shows every week. They're permanent. You just got to find that post. Every once in a while, I'll refresh it. Don't you worry. All right. It's all right. Final question. Dylan Barry asked, what is that religion deconstruction YouTube channel you talked about? I believe there's a few I've been talking about recently. The one you might be talking about, which has the sub-series Nothing Fails Like Bible History, is a channel called Holy, say it right, Holy Kool-Aid. Holy Kool-Aid. Like, don't drink the Kool-Aid. Holy Kool-Aid. Check it out. There you go. All right. I'm out of here tonight. I'm going to go do some work, which by that I mean make some dinner. And I really appreciate you all joining me today. A lot of fun, as always, hanging out. You all take the show where you want to go on Mondays. It's like an open forum Monday. We will be back Thursday. Start looking at the big game, looking about some other things, 60 Seconds of Science. Whole lot of things on the way. Thank you all. See ya. Bye.